Namaste. Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome to day 23, penultimate day of my Advent calendar. And I want to thank you for all these fun morning chats that we have had. It's been great. I just made a list of all the things that are yet to happen in 2025 on my channel. And it is a lot to do. So we'll see. So I'm sure some of that will carry over. I am off work for another week. So hopefully some of those things will get done and I will get a spread designed for Tarot Card of the Year as well. And I want to thank Mary Beth for piggybacking on the sigil idea. Mary Beth has the Hermit as her card for 2026, and the day that I used the transparent tarot, I shared with you a sigil that I had made, and Mary Beth thought, wow, this is a great idea for your card for 2026 to build a sigil for your card of the year. And I think that was such a fabulous idea. And that just really got me thinking, because I haven't designed my spread yet for Tarot Card of the Year readings. And as I mentioned, I probably won't be doing 22 of them this year, but never say never. Good morning, Clevis. All right, so I want to finish reading about snow, this beautiful card, and just sort of complete this solstice reflection. I'll put her right here. If I can see, it's quite dark this morning. Hibernation. Hibernation is a closely guarded world, and ivy spells from the door through which to enter it. When the earth is peeled back to its bones, and all paths are laid cold and bare, then we might yearn to sip soft darkness and taste the sleeping land. We can rely on winter, for it offers few distractions from the task of being ourselves. I just love that. Oh, you woke up to snow. That's lovely. I'm going to read that line again. I want to write this one down. We can rely on winter, for it offers few distractions from the task of being ourselves. The profound silence frees us to stretch into our thoughts. Within the sheltering night, we may rest at last. Inside hibernation, time will slip its anchor, so it can be enough for us to step into the winter room for just a day or two. As long as we are quite alone, the space to roam inside our dreams and a place to warm our feet. So how do we make the ivy spell that opens up that doorway? A bag woven tight from ivy vine, holly stems plucked from deep beneath the snow, an ancient rag of gold brittle with stars, amber resin scraped from a forest grove, all gathered in the clearest light of winter days. These are beautiful ingredients, but optional. Far more important are the dreams that have seasoned our path, and the stories we have gathered to our hearth, faced with tender threads of music that we have known and shared. Crucial to the ivy spell is our remembering of friends and warming thoughts of them, and our trust that these long nights will soothe our anguished hearts. With these cherished things gathered into the belly of the turning year, we might be ready to slip beneath the darkness. Last of all, we can bring a raven feather to stir this magic all around, or we might bring instead an ancient vow to bind the spell, that we will always know and offer love as we do now. Beautiful. Good morning, Janine. Good afternoon to you. Yes, and hello to Angela. And G, welcome to everybody here. Or G Will. Will. Let me know what you would like to be called. All right, so yesterday I was talking about ways to get comfortable with Tarot de Marseille. And I have no issue working with pip decks. I actually quite prefer them. And I've put some, hi Jen, welcome, on the table this morning. Let me zoom out here. I will draw my feeling card from one of these as well. So I put 5 of them here. Now, the beauty with the Tarot de Marseille is that the pip cards come in, for the most part, I know there are some that do it a little differently, predictable patterns. So you get to know the patterns, you get to know the style of the cards. And that can be very comforting in that working with a Marseille deck long enough, you really get familiar with the shapes and whatnot. The trouble in working with Waite Smith inspired pip decks is that they're all different. And some of them will carry similar ideas and similar patterns, but it can be really confusing, and some of them you might resonate with more than others. And so these are really important tarot decks, I think, to play with. I feel like my camera's all kind of wonky, but I'll pick up the decks in a second. So I'm going to go through some of the pip cards in these decks and just sort of speak to what it is that is so wonderful about the way that these cards are simply and spaciously illustrated. Okay, I have seen this deck. I don't have it. I think it was in another print run when I looked at it. But yeah, I wonder how I should do these. Maybe oldest to my library to newest to my library. I don't think it really matters. These are all self-published decks, or the ones that on the table are the earlier versions. So this is the one I was thinking about yesterday, whose name escaped me, Way Home Tarot. Two of Wands. Twos are beginnings. Twos are about relationships. And here we see a spark of fire connecting two. There are a lot. I mean, all twos to me are about relationship. And it is so much easier to speak to this when we don't have humans in the card. If you're looking at a straight up Waite Smith or Waite Smith inspired deck, I don't think you're ever going to go in that direction. Two of Wands. Two is relationships. Two is a spark. And this is a very passionate card, or has the potential to be. And so I think this one is done beautifully. Beautifully. So let's just go through some of these. One thing in this card is you really get an idea of the smallness of the bug, and yet the bug still has a great deal of light. That is very, very similar. In the Rider-Waite deck, there is a red cloth that is on the woman that is wrapped up, right? Red, showing energy and strength and potential action. So very kind of similar energy in that card. Okay. So this is this is a 3, a really unusual shape for a 3. You will often find 3s building triangles. And so this one is particularly interesting. But what we do see here is the creation of a portal, the creation of an opening, the creation of a window. So one of the things I like to ask myself when I'm looking at a pip deck is, what are the symbols creating? By bringing these 3 sticks together, what is it that we see? 3 wands, the 3 of creativity, the 3 of dharma, the 3 of life path, creates a portal of sorts. Here's the 3 of cups. So we have here, and there is a book. There is a book where Bakar Wintner wrote about these cards. It's hilarious. It's called WTF is Tarot. And sometimes, I would recommend that book for the quirk cards. I'm not sure that you really need it for the pip cards. Yeah. This is 3 pearls, 3 cups inside the knacker. Now we never usually get pearls, 3 pearls in one oyster shell. So there's something pretty special going on here. And you can see the sand that is on the outside. And so I think this is an important thing to speak to, the process of how a pearl is created. And you might want to think about creation, right? So 3s are connected to the Empress and about creativity. And I find what happens when we're looking at a deck that has humans, we forget about the basics of tarot and what the numbers actually represent. So numbers plus suit plus element. What do we get simply from that? Okay, here the shell is open, the shell is exposed. The shell, there's so many places that we can go. There's an unlimited number of directions that this building element of water can take us. We are not limited to 3 women dancing and celebrating. We can also look at the shape. So we kind of have a double upward pointing triangle here. And you may read something into that. You may not. Some of her cards are heavily illustrated, and others not so much. This is even the major arcana. Often we need to sit and think about what is represented here. And this, I don't know, I really like this deck very much. This is the Neon Tarot. And this one is kind of, what would be a good word to describe it? It really stirs up a lot. The colors to me are just amazing. And I am looking at the shape of the 3 elements, the 3 pentacles, and the 3 pentacles here are in a vessel. The vessel is symbolic of water. And here we have these 3 pentacles in the shape of the downward facing triangle in a vessel. So the element of water, the feminine energy, is really important here. At least I would read it that way in the development of this disc suit. Remember too that in the earth contains a lot of water. So there's, I don't know, I just find so here we have a moon. We have a lot of cups that are sort of dancing around the moon. The energy is, so this is a waxing moon, right? A waxing moon and waning moon, waxing moon. And depending, I guess it depends where you are in the world. This is it's just a burst of color, a burst of energy. Something, the energy of water is wanting to flow and change, right? So I'm looking also to reading the energy of the moon phase. Katya Kurtak, Dark Sinevere, publisher, Neon Tarot. I'll show you also in the another one I have on my table how I use the shapes, right? So here we have two squares together making this Eight of Swords. And what do these two squares create and how does that feel? There's a drop of water in the center. The colors are kind of separated, so there's something going on with color. And of course, all of this is in response to a question. Okay, so that's the Neon Tarot. This is one of the first pip decks that I had. This is the indie version. It is sorted. Indie version of the Lumina Tarot. Don't use this deck a whole lot. Not crazy about the people in it. However, the minor arcana is the best part of this deck. The space and the freedom that you have to interpret what is going on through the sacred geometry and the shapes of the minors. So here you have, you can see that this is Three of Wands. What did she do in Two of Wands? Oh, we've also got quite a bit of crystal energy in this. So I would want to read something into this, different approaches to worlds coming together. There's so much to work with here. Interesting card of reflection. We kind of have a putrid color down on the bottom and the bright colors up on the top. And that reminds me too, like the Crowley Thoth Tarot and a lot of the Crowley Thoth inspired decks really lean into the use of the colors of the Golden Dawn. And paying attention to color also gives us a lot of information. And so why is, in reality, we have these vivid, bright colors, but the reflection, what we see, is a rather putrid color. So it's quite something how you can work there. And you might want to also think about, I know the Four of Cups in the Wild Unknown is a challenging card for some people, and you can think about something similar with that card. Let's go to a different suit. Really interesting Four of Swords. So you can see the darkness. We have shapes. The four swords are coming together to a point, creating this green-blue spark in this opening, in this window. This darkness makes me think of the bit I just read about winter from the Weaver's Oracle. And this is a very clever Six of Swords. So what I'm saying here is that, I know I get these kind of comments all the time that I just can't work with pip decks. I can't work with pip decks. Pip decks are incredibly freeing. And like I said yesterday, when you're new to the Tarot de Marseille, you can do this kind of exercise where you just look at the relationship. In Marseille, you're looking at the relationship between the element symbol, the elemental symbol, and the floral. You're looking at repeating patterns, spaciousness, and ascending and descending numbers. But with these cards, you also have a lot you can look at here. And what I love about this card is that when taking away the human, it gives something that is much clearer. We have a very similar shape in the Ten of Wands in the Smithway Tarot. And the wands make the shape of the numeral 10, Roman numeral 10. There's something about the point at which all of these cross. And it is the point where the figure may be holding the wands. This might feel like it represents a sephira, a chakra. This can be a shield. It can be a gate. There are so many shapes that this might represent. And I think the more clearly seeing what's going on with the elemental story makes, I don't know, it gives us some power. Right, so this has some strength and purpose to it. This 5 is just sort of it's kind of a sad story. There's not much structure here. The whole thing is going to fall down, and if anything is left remaining, it's going to be 2 wands, the red camp and the green camp. And I don't know, I like telling stories. So this is definitely a favorite. And I have another deck here. This is one that I've had for eons, feels like. I feel like it was very early in the party to this deck. This is the Lily White Tarot. And it is a Pippish deck. And the bear elements do tell a story, more so in some suits than others. The suit of cups is kind of brilliant. And like I said in the previous cards, previous decks, there's a lot to learn from deepening our understanding with the element plus number relationship. So one thing I would do is take a pip deck with you. Pip decks are really good for making decisions, and you could just sort of play with it. I love playing with my decks, and that is, you have it out. Maybe you're doing some last minute seasonal shopping, and you have to make a decision. You can shuffle your deck and draw a card, and I bet it's going to help you. Either leave it on the shelf or take it home. Maybe there will be a big X that says no. I think there's a lot of clarity that can come with a deck like this. So I offer these suggestions and encourage you to play more with pip decks. Way, way, way more spacious. You're going to get such more richness in your readings. And so with the Lily White Tarot, I think I'll do my feeling word for today. I think there's something here I've never noticed. I don't know if I'm seeing something. I feel like there's a little mask in the V of the fingers here. I'm glad that some of you are still doing this practice. Ooh, I didn't write that down in my list. I know I promised, so I'm going to do that. Feelings workshop follow-up. And I'm going to try to do that around the 30-day point. All right, so this is unusual. So this one I feel like most of these I've started with something quite positive, and then I have worked toward something more shadowy. And honestly, this to me looks like a mask here. And I don't think after all these years I've ever seen that. It's like the King of Cups is holding a mask in their hand. Are they removing the mask? There's something bizarre that's going on here. And I don't like the feelings that this card pulls up. I find King of Cups a very challenging card. It's a lot of overwhelm, and I feel like I've used that word before, but I'm going to write it down. So that will be part of the observation in the workshop, is repeating themes and patterns and things like that. So I think the opposite of this is peace and serenity. Like, to me, this is the opposite of that. Let it go. Exhale. Thank you for that feedback, Janine. And I have got some really interesting feedback from people regarding this practice. So we will look more at that in about 10 days, I guess. About 10 days. All right, which deck should I do the reading from, and what is the inquiry today? I'm going to use the, I suppose there's some lovely winter scenes in this deck, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to read that line, a couple of lines again that I said I loved so much. From the Weaver's Oracle, and then use that as my, do that as the reading today. Okay, here we go. We can rely on winter for it offers few distractions from the task of being ourselves. The profound silence frees us to stretch into our thoughts. And within the sheltering night, we may rest at last. Inside hibernation, time will slip its anchor so it can be enough for us to step into the winter. I can't read that, it's dark here. The winter womb for just a day or two, as long as we are quite alone, with space to roam inside our dreams and a place to warm our feet. What is the most important, such little language, but what is it about being alone in this nurturing and nourishing at this time that is so important for our wellness and growth and development? Is there something about this that we're not even aware yet? And thanks to Carolyn Hillier for those beautiful words. I love the universe card in this deck. Sitting at that cabin in the woods, fire. Okay. Well, first of all, it's going to give us time for reflecting on the new year, the shifting energy. And remember that in Golden Dawn correspondences, the Two of Pentacles is with us pretty much through the new year. And this is a card of change. And I want you to, you can look in, this one's beautiful. I wonder if I could find it quickly. This is the thing about a lot of pip decks pick up on great Tarot de Marseille energy. And I'm sure most of you know this kind of card where you simply have a lemniscate and the energy is moving and growing and building. And remember what I said about twos are about relationship, changing relationship with money, with land, with family, with being here. Oh, this one's a little different. This one also implies some growth. Look at this energy here. Often we see I'm thinking about this is the Lily White Tarot. I was thinking about the one that is in the Lumina just here, but I won't take time to get it. I love this card in so many, many decks. And I feel that Two of Pentacles is the mini version of this particular card. There's something also in this card that is a reflection of the as above, so below. The reflection of the material with the spiritual, with the universal. We can have fun, laughter, an amazing time on a Ferris wheel. Oh my goodness, I've never been on a Ferris wheel, I don't think, when the sky has been clear and we have this beautiful, looks to me like a night sky. There's something here about the relationship between the joy of the material and the joy and the magic of something bigger. And Clavis says hibernation is restorative. Hibernation is, so restorative. It gives us time to just to breathe and to kind of trust that everything's going to be okay. And I love that this 10 card is here. It's kind of awakening and prepping us for and reminding us that things are in the process of shifting into a new year. There's a determination in this. We've talked quite a bit about voice. I'm sure that some of you have some favorite cards where a sword or a lightning bolt is piercing the sacral chakra. Not the sacral chakra, but it's piercing the spine, the chakras. And here the sword is central in the body. It could be piercing through the ice, but notice the direction that the sword is facing. It is bringing a grounding energy, a much needed grounding energy. It's like it's pinning us down, forcing us to slow down. Though this card feels like a lot of doing rather than being. This could be seen as a Jupiter card. Jupiter, the ruler of mutable Sagittarius, Temperance. Jupiter, ruler of Pisces, mutable water. It feels like this change it's going to break something that it's going to move something that like a protective layer. It's going to break a protective layer. Something that you have perceived as strength that is more defensive and unnecessary. I asked what it is that we need to understand, and what is the importance of this hibernation. And perhaps this is a really good question for each of us to ask ourselves, and that is there a layer of protection or defensiveness, a boundary, a filter, a cloth, a shield, a veil that we wear for our self-preservation that you're tired of wearing? Time to let that go. Time to expand. Jupiter expands. Jupiter is wise. And in your hibernation, in your meditation, in your quiet time, my heart just feels really active right now. Here's my question for you, last question for today, and that is, what does it feel like if you no longer carry that? What does it feel like if you no longer carry that? That's a really, really beautiful observation there. That's awesome. Yes. Yes, it is. All right. Some good questions. All right, just a reminder that for those of you that would like to be entered into a draw for a reading with me, or a package if you live in North America, If you are the winner of the package, I will send you a list of decks and put together a little package for you and send it. So to enter, you can go back and comment on any of the videos that you haven't commented on, and you could have potentially 23 tickets, 23 entries into the draw for tomorrow. And I do have a cutoff. There's a cutoff. It says what time the deadline is. I don't remember, but you can look below the video. And I have also been putting deck links there as well too. There's all kinds of information in the description box below each of the videos. And tomorrow I will do the draw. Okay? Have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. Namaste.